Eye of the Storm by Ukiresh Azubike.
Chapter 11. Whispers Beneath the Sand. The wind carried stories in the desert, stories of loss and love, of battles whispered into the dunes. Imezi had begun to hear them clearly now. Every grain of sand seemed to speak a name. Every gust of wind breathed of Kezie. It had been 6 days since his capture, 6 nights since the firelit battle that turned the camp into smoke and memory. Zara walked beside her, her steps sure despite the blistered feet and the scars that trailed her like invisible dust. The rescued captives had been handed over to a friendly Tuareg caravan heading east, but Imezi and Zara went west, following the faint tracks of camels and horsemen that led toward Air, where the desert hills glimmered like sleeping beasts. They traveled by starlight, resting by day, drinking from shallow wells, and listening to the desert's heartbeat. Zara spoke softly one night, her voice trembling with exhaustion and wonder. "I still don't understand why you risk so much for him. Who is he to you?" Imezi looked into the distance. "He's the only person who remembers the same dream I do." Zara frowned. "Dream?" "Yes," Imezi said, her voice barely a whisper. "A dream that never ends."
By the time they reached Air, the desert had changed. Great stone ridges jutted from the sand like the backs of buried giants. Small villages clung to the cliffs, their mud brick walls painted with talismans. The people spoke a mix of Hausa and Tamashek, and when they saw Imezi's necklace, a charm given to her by Baba Tafa, they bowed slightly. "You bear the mark of the spirit walkers," an old woman said, "the ones who do not die." Imezi tensed. "You know of us?" The woman smiled toothlessly. "We all know the story of the children of the storm. They pass through time like the desert wind. Some say they come before the fall of empires." Zara glanced at Imezi. "Seems you're famous, my friend." Imezi gave a wry smile. "Or cursed." They found refuge with a Sufi mystic named Sheikh Abdurrahman, a scholar of both scripture and stars. His compound was a sanctuary of peace, palm trees whispering above sandstone walls, the scent of burning incense and verses recited from memory. He listened quietly as Imezi told her story of Kezie, the desert raid, the relic, and the whispering sand. When she mentioned the Iyeua, the old man grew still. "In your tongue, it is called Iyeua. In mine, Sir al-Ruh, the secret of the soul. It is the tether between spirit and flesh. Destroy it, and the circle of rebirth is broken." "Can it be found?" Imezi asked. Abdurrahman's eyes twinkled. "All things buried will one day be found. The question is, by whom?" That night, as Imezi slept in the courtyard beneath the stars, she dreamt again of the woman by the river of light. "Your Iyeua is not a thing," the woman said. "It is a memory, a seed of yourself hidden in the heart of the earth. You and the boy share the same root. Find his, and you will find your own." When Imezi woke, her hands were clutching the sand, and she whispered, "Kezie." Zara was already awake, polishing a short sword gifted to her by one of the Tuareg guards. "Then we go north," she said simply, "toward the dunes where he was taken."
Imezi nodded. Yes, before the other ones reach his soul.
Meanwhile, deep within the crimson dunes of Tagaza, Kezie hung between worlds. His captors had taken him to a fortress carved into salt cliffs, ruled by a man of history and fire, Askia Muhammad Alawal, one of the generals of the Songhai Empire's dying days, now a conqueror for hire. But the other ones were there too, moving among his soldiers, whispering in their dreams, feeding on their ambition. When Kezie awoke, he found himself face to face with a man cloaked in shadow, eyes glowing faintly gold. "Your light burns too brightly," the man said. "Why waste it on mortals who will crumble like sand? Join us. Walk in power without fear." Kezie spat blood. "You mistake mercy for weakness." The shadow man smiled faintly. "Mercy is the first form of weakness. You will learn." Back in the desert, Imezi and Zara crossed paths with a band of griots and traders, traveling toward the same fortress, carrying salt, manuscripts, and gold dust. Among them was a young man named Isa Koroma, a Mande poet who carried a kora slung across his back. When he sang by the fire, his voice was soft as dusk. "The wind remembers what the sand forgets. The storm remembers what time regrets. The ones who walk forevermore are the heart and hand of forgotten lore." Zara listened, swaying slightly. Imezi, however, was still as stone. When Isa finished, she asked, "Where did you learn that song?" He smiled. "It came to me in a dream. A woman of light whispered it in my sleep." Imezi's breath caught. The same woman who haunted her dreams. "Tell me," she said urgently, "what else did she say?" "She said the children of the storm would soon stand at the gates of salt." 3 nights later, they reached Tagaza. The fortress rose like a mirage, white and shimmering under the moon. Smoke rose from torches, and the air smelled of sweat and steel. As they watched from the ridge, Zara whispered, "If we go down there, we may never come back." Imezi tightened her grip on her staff. "Then it's a good place to end, or begin again." They waited until dawn, when the guards changed. The desert light turned gold. Imezi closed her eyes and whispered a prayer, not to any god she knew, but to the earth itself. "Let him live, and I will remember my promise." Then she and Zara descended into the heart of Tagaza, where salt walls glowed like bone, and shadows waited to swallow them whole.